In the heart of an aging neighborhood, there stood an unassuming house with peeling paint and time-worn charm. Over decades, the structure had witnessed laughter, sorrow, celebrations, and quiet moments of solitude. Little did anyone suspect that beneath its tired exterior lay a secret etched in forgotten blueprints and hidden behind walls that time itself seemed to have left untouched. Tonight, we journey into the mystery of the hidden room blueprint. It began on an ordinary afternoon during a long-planned renovation. Workers stripped away layers of dusty wallpaper and chipped paint, exposing the skeleton of long-dead plaster and lath. In the midst of this mundane demolition, a set of aged blueprints was discovered in the attic, a rolled parchment, yellowed with time, its ink faded but still legible. The document revealed every room and corridor of the house. Yet, as the workers carefully unfolded the paper, it became starkly apparent that one section defied explanation. There it lay, a blank space labeled only as void among meticulously drawn details of living spaces, corridors, and secret nooks. No door design, no window outline, only an empty, absent room that should have been there, and yet was conspicuously omitted from the visible structure. The workers exchanged puzzled glances. A hardened carpenter studied the blueprint with furrowed brows, tracing his finger over a line that led nowhere, and then encountered an abrupt break in the drawing. A whisper of rumor began to stir among them, as if the house was unwilling to disclose its hidden truth. The question quickly took root: why was this room erased from the official plans? And what or who was meant to be kept inside its secret enclave? Decades before, when the house was designed by an ambitious architect with a penchant for the unorthodox, architectural ideas were not only about sheltering the body, but in some mysterious instances, protecting a secret, guarding a memory. The blueprint suggested that the room was never merely a construction error. In the original notes, scribbled in almost illegible haste, were passages hinting at an intention to shelter something vital from the world. Was it an eccentric idea left as an afterthought, or had the architect deliberately incorporated a hidden chamber into the design to obscure a truth too perilous to reveal in plain sight? Imagine, if you will, a past fraught with whispers of clandestine meetings and encrypted messages passed under the cover of night. Each stroke of the pen on that old blueprint resonated with a quiet purpose, and yet history had somehow erased the memory of the room from official records. It was as though an unseen hand had meticulously scrubbed away any trace of that forgotten space. In exploring the faded notes alongside the blueprint, it became clear that those involved in the original design had been aware of something imperceptible, a secret embedded in the very bones of the house. As construction crews began to clear away layers of plaster near the area indicated by the mysterious void, a palpable tension filled the air. Every removed board and each scuff of dust whispered the possibility that some hidden meaning might resurface. In every creak of the floorboards and every flutter of dust motes through the narrow beam of a flashlight, there was a subtle suggestion that the house's formidable past was reaching out to be known. Under the sterile glow of electric light, a team of investigators, historians, and curious locals gathered to witness the slow unveiling of the hidden space. Their breaths mingled with an almost imperceptible chill that seemed to emanate from the exposed brickwork. With deliberate care, a section of the wall corresponding to the void on the blueprint was scrutinized. The surface, long neglected, bore strange markings, a series of faint symbols and geometric patterns, as if someone had etched out a cryptic language during a frantic moment. Led by an architectural historian with a quiet passion for forgotten secrets, the team began to piece together a narrative. They recounted how some architects of old believed that every building had its own spirit, its very soul, and that by purposely incorporating secret spaces, one could shelter the deepest essence of the home. Could this long-omitted chamber have been designed to hold not just bricks and mortar, but memories, souls, or even relics of a tumultuous past? Amid the hushed murmurs of the gathering, There was a moment of collective realization. Every detail pointed toward an intricate relationship between the documented house and a hidden narrative that defied conventional explanation. The void devoid of doors or windows seemed not to be meant for daily life, but instead as a repository for what was deemed too dangerous or too powerful to share with the general world. In the scratchings on the wall, there lay an ominous suggestion that within these confines, an element of the past had been sequestered away, a compartment meant to isolate something that might otherwise disturb the order of things. As layers of plaster were gently removed, a narrow recess emerged. A hush spread over the group like a shroud. What should have been an empty cavity was in fact more than a structural oddity. The empty space sparked a flurry of interpretations. Was it an architectural safeguard, a hidden chamber similar in spirit to secret vaults found in ancient castles, or something altogether unsettling in its purpose? The investigators considered that there might have been an underlying rationale beyond practicality, a dark design meant to contain a secret or perhaps a relic of forbidden knowledge. Venturing deeper into the history of the house, local records were carefully examined and interviews were held with community elders who record tales passed down from one generation to the next. As one elderly neighbor recounted in a blurred mix of nostalgia and apprehension, they always whispered about a hidden room, a place where the past and its burdens were locked away. His voice trembled slightly, as if the mere mention of the hidden space summoned long-forgotten turbulence. Old documents, long overlooked in the dusty corners of municipal archives, hinted at planning disputes and mysterious design changes affecting the house. There were records of conflicts between the original architect and certain influential clients who demanded changes to the design. According to these fragments of history, the removal of the room from the final blueprints was not a mere oversight, but possibly a forced alteration, a deliberate effort by those in power to bury an uncomfortable secret. It was as if someone had conspired to cleanse the architectural record, to force the house to forget its hidden past and live only by the visible lines of walls and windows. Every faded note, each hurried revision on the blueprint, told a story of tension and uncertainty. The silent room, once a planned sanctuary for something or someone undesirable to the eyes of the world, was now an unintentional monument to secrets long kept. The very idea that the blueprint itself had been tampered with or edited raised more questions than answers. Some suggested that the hidden section was meant to be an alcove for safeguarding an object of immense significance, perhaps a collection of forbidden manuscripts, a controversial heirloom, or even evidence of a clandestine meeting that altered local history. In an almost cinematic unfolding, the luminescence of the investigation gradually revealed both physical and metaphorical cracks in the house's facade. The void was not merely a space. It was a narrative waiting to be deciphered. Every tool used to scrape away at the material layers of the structure was also peeling back layers of time, memory, and carefully constructed oblivion. Late one cool evening, when shadows stretched long and the wind hummed through the crevices, the final phase of the investigation commenced. With measured clinical precision, the lead investigator unlocked a concealed section of the wall that had been previously masked by layers of plaster and drywall. Inside was a narrow passage, a corridor so modest that it could have easily been dismissed as part of the mundane service area of the house. And yet, beyond the corridor, there lay an unadorned space that defied logic. The room had no windows and was completely sealed. Its dimensions were odd, a space too irregular to be accidental, yet too empty to be practical. The interior walls bore a minute inscription, almost imperceptible and half erased by time. In a handwriting that echoed both elegance and urgency was a note, "For what must not see the light beyond these walls." The phrase resonated in the silence of the chamber, evoking images of secrets bound in confinement and stories deliberately buried beneath layers of consent and concealment. In that moment, the investigators felt an overwhelming mix of fascination and trepidation. The purpose of the chamber was not simply architectural, it was an enigma, a silent witness to a narrative that had been intentionally obscured. A wave of emotions crashed over those present, bridging the distance between history and modern-day inquiry. They realized that uncovering the room was about more than revealing a faulty blueprint. It was about unlocking the legacy of a building whose walls were meant to hold more than just brick and mortar. They were meant to imprison the hidden chapters of its own origin. In the days that followed this final discovery, the house transformed from a relic of the past into a living testimony of untold secrets. Local historians, forensic experts, and curious minds from across the region were drawn to the site. They debated the implications of what they had uncovered, weaving theories about the nature of the room into the fabric of local folklore. Some conjectured that the chamber might have been used either to hide individuals or objects that threatened the established order, while others speculated that the underlying purpose was symbolic, a deliberate metaphor for the parts of history that remain concealed due to fear or shame. Even as the investigations wound down and the space was officially documented, questions lingered like the afterimage of a half-remembered dream. The design of the room, the absence of any physical opening, the eerie lack of windows or ventilation, raised suspicions that it was built not as a living space, but as a deliberate vault. If it was meant to safeguard something, what could have warranted such clandestine measures? The answers were not to be found in measurable dimensions or easily traced records. They belonged to the realm of emotions, suspicions, and what-ifs that have always haunted places that hide more than they reveal. There was an uncanny analogy to be drawn between the house and its forgotten chamber. Both were outwardly ordinary, yet beneath their surfaces lay layers of history and mystery waiting to be rediscovered. The investigation sparked debates among architectural enthusiasts and local residents alike about the role of secrecy in design. Could the architect have intended for the void to be a symbolic cornerstone, a reminder that not all truths are meant for the open daylight? Or was it an abortive attempt to create a secret sanctuary that somehow lost its signal with time? Friends and skeptics gathered in heated discussions, not in a frantic search for simple answers, but in a respectful acknowledgement of complexity. The investigation itself became a narrative of layers where every revealed fact only deepened the intrigue. Advanced imaging techniques and historical research were deployed in tandem, creating a dialogue between modern technology and centuries-old mystery. Old blueprints were cross-referenced with municipal records, and the human imprint on inanimate documents was meticulously examined. Each discovery reinforced the notion that the void was an intentional part of the house's identity, a dark design meant to protect or conceal something powerful. In the quiet aftermath of discovery, the house seemed to quietly reclaim its narrative. The void, now fully recognized as a deliberate, though eerie part of its structure, invited reflection on the nature of secrets and the hidden spaces within us all. Just as the house possessed a physical anomaly, so too does every person harbor sections of their own history that are left unexplored, obscured by layers of time and selective memory. The hidden room became a powerful metaphor, a place designed to contain what might unsettle the visible order, reminding us that not all is as it seems on the surface. The local community found solace, and perhaps even a touch of enlightenment, in contemplating the symbolic weight of the void. Some began to see parallels between the hidden room and the unspoken truths in their own lives, the parts that, while never fully illuminated, shape the character and destiny of a place and its people. For a brief moment, the investigation transcended its initial purpose. It became a mirror reflecting the deeper human need to guard and at times confront the truths we choose to hide. A final shot of the house, its exterior marked with the subtle scars of renovation, served as a reminder that every structure, every person carries secrets. The hidden room blueprint, now forever part of its history, had redefined the narrative of this humble building. It was a story of deliberate omission and layered truth, a tale that urged us to remember that behind every erased line or unexplained gap in a record lies the possibility of profound discovery. As the investigation came to a close, the investigators gathered one final time before the sealed space. The mood was serene, yet charged with the weight of history. They stood in silence, contemplating the balance between what was revealed and what remained hidden. In that silence, the house spoke, not in words or documented records, but in the subtle interplay of light, shadow, and the gentle reverberation of memories etched into its walls. The voice of the architectural historian resonated clearly in that moment. Sometimes a blueprint is more than a plan. It is a story, and every story has spaces, ones we build for living, and others we construct to keep certain intricacies safely tucked away. With that, the legacy of the hidden room was cemented, not solely as a physical anomaly, but as an emblem of the complex interplay between intention and consequence, between what is meant to be kept inside and what eventually escapes to the world. In the final frames of our narrative, the camera pans slowly over the meticulously restored facade of the house, capturing the quiet dignity of a structure that has survived the ebb and flow of time. The hidden room blueprint had, for a brief spell, opened a portal into a time when design was as much about concealing as it was about revealing, where every line drawn on paper was imbued with a sense of purpose that defied easy understanding. The house, now a repository of both overt history and silent mystery, stands as a testament to the enduring power of secrets. Its walls, marked by time and thoughtfully re-examined by curious minds, remind us that beneath every surface there may lie a hidden chapter, a space deliberately engineered not for everyday life, but to hold the weight of an untold story. And so, what was once a forgotten anomaly becomes a narrative of intrigue, inviting us all to question the visible and explore the spaces in between. In every building, in every plan, there exists the possibility of a hidden space, a void unexplained yet potent with meaning. As you wander through your own life, consider the metaphor of the hidden room. Sometimes the most profound stories are not found in what is obvious, but in the dark corners and erased lines, where secrets lie dormant, waiting for the inquisitive mind to shed light upon them. Let the mystery of the hidden room blueprint remind you that history, like architecture, is layered and multifaceted, and though some spaces may never become entirely visible, their significance endures, quiet, unresolved, and eternally intriguing. Ambient sounds slowly fade, leaving the listener with a lingering echo of questions unanswered and a promise of further discovery. End credits with subtle instrumental music.